All right, I'm doing the intro because my energy's pretty high for a
Oh
change.
yeah, I could
Not for
tell.
a change, but
Ripping.
sometimes I come in just, mediocre level 6. I'm feeling pretty hyped today, and it's not for the excessive coffee. I'm just feeling hyped after this weekend, buddy. And you kissing your Starbucks.
A Star
It's a
Bizzle,
weird
brother.
looking cup, by the way. That's what your Starbucks looks like?
Yeah, it's like a
Interesting.
retro one.
All right.
Established 1971.
Okay. All
So
right.
was
Well,
Craig Spodak, established in 1971, by the way.
you know why I'm fired up is because you and we got to hang out for it's always good. We got about 48 hours of each other and walking around, and we don't live in the same city, and yes, we talk on the phone, and yes, we do pods, but there's nothing like physical proximity. I was about to say intimacy. Oh god,
we did save money and stay in one room.
We did share a room.
Yeah.
Anyway,
two bedroom.
So what we're talking about is this weekend we had our second mastermind retreat for this mastermind class. And it was really special because a lot of our masters came, and our masters. So we have two groups of masterminders. We have a growth, we call them growth, which is 1 and 2, because you really need 2 years to deploy the content that we talk about. I mean, you can do it in 1, but we talk about kind of 1 and 2 is when you deploy it. And then our masters are 3 and 4 and 5 year people who've been involved in Bulletproof, who are solving higher quality problems, let's just say. And that was so evidenced, Craig, by our dinner at the end of the night, going around the table and sitting with our masters and then being like, life is great. I don't really have anything problems. My problems are so fantastic. And that is the wish. So again, going back to my energy, I'm coming back with it. You and I took a long walk. We talked about Bulletproof, so many things. It's just so good. I'm just so optimistic about the future of this profession, future of Bulletproof, and all the things. So anyway.
No, I feel the same way, but it was really cool. And it is cool to watch and there's something very powerful in the learning environment between a year 1 person who hasn't really figured out what they want, and then a master's person who's gone through 3, 4, 5 years of Bulletproof Mastermind, and them to have such clarity. So it is cool. It is really cool.
It's funny. There's a couple of things that happen with Mastermind too. I think with any kind of mastermind, and let's not talk about Bulletproof, but especially if there's robust curriculum, Craig, you can respond one of 2 ways. Oh shit, this is a lot. I don't have time, and then disengage, or engage and then realize, oh my gosh, there's so many things I want to do. And then year 2 is kind of your implementation year. So you see there's 2 forks in the road with people who come in to the ecosystem. And I think it's overwhelming, quite honestly. I think it's overwhelming. But then once you reach, quote unquote, that mastery level, you're pretty much on cruise control for the remainder of your career because you've built the muscles.
And you built a community though too. So now you're not going at it alone.
But not alone.
So it's like if you can start the workout by yourself and then get 4 or 5 buddies that all want to look in the same physical condition and make a community around that, you're going to stay in shape for life.
Yeah. Show me your friends. I'll show you your future,
Yeah.
So, again, we advocate for this because it's specific to dentistry, but get yourself in something,
the right
group. YPO or an EO or a dental community or something, resist the local ones because we've all established that's a crab pot. They want you to do well, but as long as it's not better than them. Anyway, but my cadence is high, by the way.
I want to give you one more example. One of my friends is a clinical educator leader, very, very, very big in dentistry. And he has a partner, and they're both really, really well respected in their clinical skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I talk to him, it's always like, man, I need to get in your group. I'm like, well, what? He's like, because you're on a Tuesday at 10 a.m., you're able to podcast and your business is making money. So we all go into our ecosystems, whether that's Panky or Dawson or whoever your ecosystem is. And I'm not throwing shade because I think clinical dentistry is beautiful. And if you love it and you're doing it and you're thriving, then don't hear this. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably thinking, I want to build a business around me. I mean, that's just fair to say. The ethos of Bulletproof is to create a business around me that supports me, that I love, that I never want to sell, that I want to expand upon. I want everyone to build exactly what they want. And when we look at the year 1's masterminds, the mastermind growth, as we call it, the big takeaway for me is that it is very difficult for people to give themselves the freedom to dream about what they want to create. By the time we meet them, it's like, I want 20 ops or 7 practices or more marketing. And there's an unwinding process. And Pete, you and I had a very long intellectual conversation at the close of Mastermind. And it was like, about, trying to meet people where they are, and, that I want to question them. I want to question why. And we joked and we said, if you want to know how to do something, ask Pete. If you want to know if you're doing it for the right reasons, ask Craig.
Yeah, and I was like, we've done this. It's just so funny. Time and time again, there'd be data points that prove it. It's like you should spend time with Craig, figuring out what you want, get massive clarity, and then come to me. But when people come to me before they're clear, I won't challenge them, because I just like to give people what they want. But you will push in hard and be like, why this and that, and really get some clarity. So it's good. I'm like the second person, right? They need to graduate from Craig before they come to Pete, kind of thing. So it's funny. And that made it seem like what you're doing is, you get what I'm trying to say, the graduation.
No, I totally understand. And I think I just want to understand the spirit, because a lot of people in the Mastermind, they joke around you're on the hot seat and what you get grilled by Craig. And what I want for everybody is, I want everyone to get exactly what they want and then love what they got. And I know it sounds like a little cliche and funny to say that, but there's a lot of people in dentistry. And I'm about to play a clip of one that's getting famous right now because he got to all the offices. You're hearing a lot of people now coming out. I'm thankful for these voices where it's like, I built the thing. I got to 5, I got to 20, I got to 30, and I hated it all. And kudos to Dr. Brian Harris too, for admitting that, because it's allowing people the freedom to say. Who's
speaking at Summit, by the way.
Right. But kudos to him, because he's such a badass. And he's like, 1 + 2 + 3 made me miserable. Let me go back to 1.
And guess what? He took the reins, as opposed to being miserable. He took the reins and went back to what he knew. He had permission. Going back to what you said about permission, he's like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, it takes a bold person to do what he did. It does take a
bold person, but he's the architect of his life, and so it's right. And so many of us just I'll just stay the course because everyone's depending on me now,
Or I started running and I can't start over. And we talked about that in Mastermind too. When this idea, if we're talking to you right now and you're on the wrong path and you don't like what you're doing, maybe business ownership wasn't for you, or 4 practices wasn't for you. You're not starting over, because you're not the same person. This idea that you're starting from 0 is bullshit. You have learned leadership skills, you've learned delegation, you've learned business systems, you learned how to scale. It's more applicable now to whatever you want to create. So I think a lot of people don't start over for that fear. Recreate, because I fear starting over. You're never starting over. You're not the same person.
Love it. I agree.
So I got to play you a little clip that I don't know how it's going to make you feel, Petey.
What do you mean? Wait. We didn't preface this. Is this going to make me angry, make me sad, make me happy?
I think you'll go through the full gamut of emotions.
Shit,
you'll wind up landing on frustrated and feeling ripped off.
Shit. Okay.
All right. I got this. Someone sent this to me.
With your team as a dentist.
Okay, hold on here.
So wait, what is this for people listening?
This guy is named, hang on. Lowe, Dr. Richard Lowe.
He's the shared practice guy.
Do you know him?
I think he's been on the podcast.
We've been on theirs, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's a listener. You know why I know? I think he's a listener.
Right. How?
I'm going to show you right now.
Play the whole thing. Let me hear.
Okay, hang on. You're making me nervous. Hold on.
If you're not having sweaty back conversations with your team,
sweaty back,
you're not even really trying.
Shut up.
So what is that? It's like when a friend has some
Did he
broccoli
just say sweaty
stuck
back?
in their.
That's what he just said.
7 and 8. As a dentist to a dentist, it's like, dude, tell me.
Here's the part that's going to get you upset, because there's no I got this from listening to Peter Boulden.
It's the same with our team members. Do we respect them and trust them enough to have the hard conversations, the kind where the fight or flight response kicks in?
Should you want to hear the rest or no?
Because you're like, okay, crap, how is this going to go? Problem is, most of us don't know how. So how do you have a sweaty back conversation? First, there's 3 things. You want to let them know how much you care about them. Second,
I'll leave it alone.
Wait a second. So there's no attribution.
No,
to Peter Boulden
I haven't listened to the whole thing. I should let me out of a spirit.
Oh my gosh.
So that's an Emily Boulden.
That's an Emily Boulden. Yeah, that's a
Philadelphia, Mississippi. And I don't think this accent is Philadelphia, Mississippi. Let me listen to the whole thing. Make sure you don't get attribution, because I don't want to throw shade.
Oh my God. I guess I'll just fill in the pause while you're listening here.
No. So how did Emily come up with this?
Emily and her friend, when she was on reality TV, her and her best friend from Birmingham, they're like the two blonde twins, and they just would come up with these funnyisms, right? And so they're like, it's like sweaty back, like when you get so nervous and the smaller your back sweats.
Yeah, that's what he says here. Yeah.
And
so that podcast was a long time ago. You said that sweaty back conversation. I think that was like 2019.
Yeah, but Craig, I probably say it almost every podcast.
I say it too.
That's household vernacular in my house.
It's bulletproof vernacular.
My children, bulletproof vernacular now. That's hilarious. Hey, well, I'm glad the metaphor landed on Richard, and he's getting to help and explain things in bulletproof language.
Yeah, so comment S back, and I'll send you a guide of how to have difficult conversations. He's got the IP though right now, by the way, because he's done really good. So I'm actually going to change this, even though you came up with it. I'm giving him credit for it. He's got much more.
What's wrong with us? All right, let's roll. You're right, the full gamut, but it's actually more entertaining than anything else.
True that.
Anyway. Let's talk about anything. I know we talked about the takeaway of the mastermind, but is there anything from a topic perspective? I think that's hot and heavy on our minds. That was that just blew you away. That maybe we can morph into talking about at scale here.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway, and again, we have some degree of selection bias because we're in an ecosystem like Bulletproof. Mm-hmm. So who comes to Bulletproof? Who listens to Bulletproof, right? So I think there's a little bit of selection bias there. I don't know if we have the accurate sampling of dentistry, but what I'm seeing is the typical, I built something that I don't like anymore. So you talk about quality problems. You're never going to avoid problems. You're just going to exchange low quality problems for high quality problems. How do I pay my mortgage? How do I get the phone to ring? To like, everybody wants to just see me doing FMRs and I can't take a break. Obviously a higher quality problem because now you used to pray for the phone to ring to get an FMR patient. Now you're stacked up 8 weeks and you can't like breathe. So the lack of thought is what really bothers me in dentistry. The lack of thought about your business and what you want to create. And I would, if this message lands on anybody and you haven't been to a summit or you're not a mastermind member or you've not been exposed to us, I just don't want you to be intellectually lazy. It's your life and you have an ability to create something. You actually have the freedom to create what you want.
But sometimes, Craig, I got to tell you, you say this a lot. And I think that if you're not listening to pods and you're not putting yourself in an environment, and potentially, obviously if someone's listening to this, they are, but you need to be exposed to ideas. Like I always say, you can't, when you come to a summit or you're in a mastermind, you're going to see things and hear things that you can't unsee or unhear. It's just, it'll stay permanent and it'll just keep ringing in your ears until you solve that. And so
that's what happened to you and I, Pete.
Yes, with each other.
Exposed to things, not just to each other, but and unfortunately not really in dentistry because we came up in a time when there's no dental podcast. You were exposed to Hornbrook, right, as an example, or to Deborah King, early on in your career, and it's like, ooh, I'll just do that. That sounds cool. Yeah. I'll be the guy, the girl.
They were the role models of my time, and so I was like, oh, okay, just do more clinical, right?
Imagine had you been exposed to a Peter Boulden,
shit.
Or a Trey Miller or Mastermind or an Alex Edgerly or some of these people.
Yeah, it's so good. Or like, just so good.
I always say, and we've said it at Summit, I'm sorry to cut you, but I always say, and I said it at Summit, had I met 27-year-old Peter Boulden, I know what I would have asked. I would have grilled him like this, like, hey, bud, I know you're like want to be AACD. That's super cool. But why do you want it? Why? And at the end of it, it would have been like, listen, I just, I really want to make some money. I want to skip. I'm sorry.
I want to make more money, Craig.
Yeah, well, I mean, it would have been like,
look, I would have just folded and be like, damn it, it's about the money.
No, it's about, but listen, money's a tool. There's no shame in money, by the way.
I love the impact of the smiles. I'm just kidding. Like you would have grilled me to the point I would have broken down and be like, God, fine. It's
no, it would have been like, listen, I really want to scale and grow. And I'm like, okay, so when you're the busiest guy in the block and you have no time, you would have probably said, no, it's actually about freedom and money. You would have broken down and said that. And I would have probably said something along the lines of like, hey, Pete, if you could have make $1 million a year as an example, because everybody always wants to make $1 million a year. It's never 975 or 1.1. It's always $1 million. And I don't know why I say that, but I guess
it's an arbitrary 7-figure, right?
It's an arbitrary number. But if I would have broken it all down, and I said, if you could make this much money, but you could never pick up a handpiece again, how does that land on you? It wouldn't have been a millisecond. You're like, fine, that's totally cool. I can put the handpiece down. And then you would have had just a different trajectory and career, but it's all good. Listen, it's great. We get a lot of
worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out because in the end, when you know how to do every part of your organization, including prepping the teeth and delivering smile design, you have a lot of street cred. You have a lot of cred with your team.
Totally.
And it's hard to build it if you haven't done it. So it all worked out fine. But people are just being intellectually lazy and they're not exposed to the idea. So one of the big transformations over the weekend, and it was just, I guess, I'm sure your phone blew up too, but it was just like, hey, this is so great. And even Alex Edgerly's like, this is my 9th mastermind retreat. 9th. Wow. And he's like, I'm still going home with so much stuff to do. Or Darren Mars.
It's like, never, and I said that, Craig, and thing, the beauty is that you're never done, right? Never done. Like I'm not done. I came home with shit to investigate and roll out and think about, right? And that's not, when someone hears that, it's like, geez, you're not ever done. I actually think that's the feature, not the bug, right? Yeah. It's that you get involved in a petri dish of ideas, which if we've learned anything about, if Tony Robbins and all the people you listen to on YouTube, and if we learned anything, that is the thing that keeps your life interesting and energized and purposeful and mission.
Progress equals happiness, getting a little better. And when you're done, you're dead.
Well, there is statistics around that with people in retirement who go from 100% to 0%, meaning their RPMs at 100% to 0%. And statistically, it's not a very long lifespan. I think it's like 4 or 5 years. Maybe that was just for dentistry. But it's not good for the human body to not be challenged, right? When the muscle is challenged, it grows. And I heard an interesting quote, actually, Craig, that it was a very cool thing. And I should have talked about this. And it was basically the same pot of water that will make an egg hard will make a potato soft.
So is this like a potato salad recipe we're going with?
It's potato salad, but it's like choose your own direction, right? Like choose your response. And how do you do that? It's choosing the pot to get in and then how you're going to respond to that pot. Maybe I'm going too metaphorical, but I was like, I really wanted to talk about that this weekend. So I'm slipping it in now, but it is an interesting metaphor. Sorry, I just took us off topic.
I fully agree with you. And I also think therein lies the crafting higher quality problems. So, when a lot of people listening to this are like, wow, I just can't wait to have a busy practice. I can't wait for the phone to ring. And you're going to have to, and at a certain point, like even for you and I, we have, thank God we have practices that run by ourselves. It's exactly what we wanted to create. But now it's like, okay, I got extra time. So I'm, dicking around with cows. You're starting, your endeavor, acquiring more practices. But here I am, I'm expanding. That's a new quality problem.
100%.
And by the way, I walked in yesterday morning and I see my facility director and James, my office manager, looking at the outside of the building as I drive up. And I'm like, this cannot be good. And it turns out the corner of my building is sagging and structurally it's like collapsing a little bit. And the transom glass is cracked. So it's a major freaking problem. And I walk in like, oh, that sucks for you. And I'm like, honestly, I don't even care. It's like you get comfortable being uncomfortable. And it's like, as long as no problems really rattle me anymore. I guess that's the definition of bulletproof, right? Problems just kind of bounce off. Whereas like, the first Google review you got that was negative, or the employee quitting, or the person that was stealing.
That's it. We're going out of business. That's it.
Yeah. Randy always used to tell me that. It's like every time like he got a bad Google review, he felt like the toilet was flushing on his business. He could see it all going down. It turns into a Google review, and then Becky quits, and then you get audited by the IRS, and then you're out of business. And it's just like that, you get galvanized over time. You get more resolved. It's cool.
We need to get some Randy back in our lives on the pod. It's been a while.
Yeah, he's in Auckland. Speaking of, the mastermind, one of the coolest things that I think we do is the breakthrough. And a breakthrough is basically a point in time where you thought what once was impossible now seems possible, and you take immediate action. So you didn't know it's possible, you have a glimmer of it's possible, and you take action. Or else it's just like an aha moment, you do nothing. But a breakthrough often comes from these more intense moments. And there's a lot of people that reach out to me on Instagram and say like I'm in a bad place or whatever. And I want to put out a call because Ian, our new CEO, who you'll get to know, the audience will get to know shortly.
Amazing.
He and I were talking yesterday. He's like, we should open up a pod to do these types of things that we do at Summit and we do at the Mastermind, where we could just take the person off the street, the doc off the street, and really iterate and help them through their problems, because it's really quite a magical process. You're not a very emotional, touchy-feely person, Pete. I don't know if you knew that or not, but you've actually watched me do that and say
I've had
something
hints
like
of that in my life. Yes.
Yes. But you've actually said to me, like, Craig, you're a beautiful human being after seeing that. So I just want to bring that to the audience. And I guess,
well, his idea was, and it was, we're going to create like a bulletproof hotline where you can basically call in and record something and then talk, and then we will then put it potentially, play it live, like a Dave Ramsey kind of thing. And it won't be live interaction, but it'll be like, hey, here's some advice. And I think that is, Craig, you're definitely your superpower. You think quicker on your feet to kind of to solve, and you get the psychology right. We do that at Summit. And just like we started this pod, it's like, then once I have some time to kind of sit and postulate about it, it's like, okay, here's your 7 steps. Like I wrote an email last night to someone for the 5 steps they should do. And I was like, true to form. Like, I'm just a one-trick pony. Like I give you, here's your mechanism. So it is, I love that idea, honestly. And the ideation around some of the curriculum of the new pod. I mean, you and I have been doing this together for the past, without really any guests, Craig, for many, many times, 6 months now. And I think we're getting into a new season where we've got some great ideas, bringing in some coaches and some community members and some hotlines and some strategic sponsors, right? And sponsors really can't get on the show to pitch their product, but they can get on to solve the problem that they have learned for the community, whether or not they use the product or not, right? That it's just bestowing that intel that they've used their whole life to do, industry influence or something like that. So I'm excited because we're kind of working on that podcast calendar at scale to really, it's the culmination, I guess is what I'm trying to say, Craig, the culmination of what we've learned over the past 10 years of doing this. 10 years of podcasting. So let me tell you what I'm actually, so you know how I know it's 10 years and 49 actually recordings we've done? Is because I just hired someone I'm creating a giant corpus of data. And I haven't told you this. Corpus
I like
of
the
data.
word corpus, by the way. I like that word corpus. I never
it makes me sound like intelligent. Yeah. So I'm putting it in, and I'm going to get really technical for a second. So you need to close your ears. Okay.
I'll close my eyes. Maybe I should
close your eyes. So basically taking this, I just hired someone this morning on Upwork to take every recording we've ever done, put it in put it in a markdown language to aggregate. So I'm sure you've seen on the news or maybe on Twitter, all this talk about Claude and OpenClaw and things like that, right? It's been the biggest transformation. And so I'm making basically an OpenClaw for our masterminders using this corpus of data.
How is that different from the LLM you made with ChatGPT that has like 8,000 questions on it?
Yes. And here's why it's different. It's different because the ChatGPT was just throwing up a bunch of shit inside of an LLM, a custom LLM that says, reference this when you can. But this one will have such specificity. And the cool thing
will our books be in it?
Everything will be in it, Craig. Everything we've ever done, every PDF, every book. And here, the cool thing is that it will be gatewayed by, you'll be able to text it and it'll give you the number. And it will remember every conversation that Craig had, every conversation that Alex had. It'll take you on the journey, and it'll have memory for hundreds of people. It's really like, I cannot wait. Like, honestly, when you're up until 2, I was up until 2 a.m. last night.
Good.
Like doing this.
Work, bitch.
But it's like, what am I doing? Like go to damn bed. And you can't, because sometimes you get so Twitter pated on an idea. You like that word?
Twitter pated. I
There
like
you go.
that. Corpus and Twitter pated.
You get so
You Twitter pated your corpus.
But like honestly, and even the stuff in the practice right now, like we are migrating towards such technological ease. Like everything is becoming an easier lift, Craig.
I know. I am
Kim
not
and I were
utilizing
talking
this
this morning
technology
about
nearly like you are. And I am flipping blown away. And by the way, people around me are blown away the way I use AI.
Yeah.
So it just shows that the average person, like, wait, what? You just did that? Like, yeah, it's not to use a calculator.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, ChatGPT, what's 16 times 15?
And you use it like I'd say you're a pretty good user, but you still use it very basically, right? I mean, use it to serve your needs, but like the stuff that is out there, you know, the data, and I don't want to bore people with this. I did a little pitch, a little presentation, and before the mastermind started, the retreat started. And it was just something I whipped up real quick just to show people where the puck is going. And I said, look, I could be directionally right or wrong. And it was just kind of showing the convergence of technologies into the practice. And my wish was that everyone picks their head up and pays attention and starts playing with this, because whether or not you feel I'm right is irrelevant. Whether or not you feel the technology is coming is irrelevant. It's coming fast and furious, and it's coming 4 to 5 times faster than it did last year. Just mark my words. It's funny, Darren, I was having dinner with one of our masters, Craig, and he was like, man, I used to hear you talk about this shit. He's like, 2 years ago, you made all these predictions. And he's like, in my head, I was like, you're like, whatever, Pete, you're full of shit. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. He goes, damn it, if those things didn't come true.
Who said this?
Darren Mars. And I was like, look, I can't say that I'm always right, but as Craig says, I'm usually way too early to the party.
Yeah. You've been right. And unfortunately, and I just have to say this, my joke that I gave you at the mastermind, I have to recycle it for the audience here. I said, what's happened in Bitcoin has been similar, but far worse than a divorce, because you lost half your net worth, but your wife is actually still there with you.
Well, that gives me sweaty back. It gives me sweaty back.
The great news, Pete, Emily and Zeisha don't listen to this. So this is a safe space.
Safe space.
My wife doesn't even know I have a podcast.
You know, she does. You're so
she has no clue. She's like, I'm like, listen to this episode. She's like, I hear you talking crap all day long, Craig. I don't need to hear this.
Yeah, I don't hear more of your
more of you.
Hear that? I live with the Tony Robbins of dentistry. I don't need to listen to him.
She doesn't think that.
No,
neither do I, by the way. But that's a very nice thing to say.
I do. Ian does.
Very, very nice.
I don't have any takeaways other than just, you know, I think there's nothing tactical. I mean, when I don't have something tactical, Craig, I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, I like to have the steps for people and make it a pod. So I don't have anything tactical other than what we already spoke about. Put yourself in an environment, consider coming to Summit, consider joining something outside that would make you a little uncomfortable. Give yourself sweaty back situations to be in. If you're comfortable, get uncomfortable. And if you don't like the trajectory of what you're going through right now, it's an easy change. And usually maybe it's just, you need to switch Petri dishes.
Yeah, you do. You need to switch your ecosystem. So, you know, if you have a great group, but it's clinical and there's no one that's stretching the mold, or if you've gone the other way and you've expanded your business like a la Brian Harris, and you don't like that and you want to get back to what you originally did, you have to move that way as well. But I think dare to imagine the life you want. The
irony is, you know, Blake, one of our masterminders, came up to me and he said, man, I finished the book that, Balake. He's like, I finished the book that you told me to read. And he goes, man, it just changed the game. And I was like, hey, that book made the lights come on for me when I was unhappy about my practice. You know, back in whatever, 2000, let's call it 14, 15. And I was like, and the lights went on. And I was like, the irony is like, when you start implementing these bulletproof systems, it's not the outcome. Yes, I guess you think like, grow my business, therefore it'll solve my problems. But like when you make the business, so Craig, the book I recommended, sorry, I'm all over the place. The book I recommended to Blake was Built to Sell. It's one of my favorite books. I really do. I talk about it. Maybe I don't talk about it on here enough, but if you're unhappy at all with your business or you don't like the way things are going, it really will open your eyes into maybe some of the dysfunction that's going on. And so the irony is this guy, can I give a quick wind up?
Yeah, please, of course.
The irony of this is this guy basically had a media company. He wanted to sell it. So he went to a broker or a mentor and he's like, hey, will you help me sell this? And he's like, sure. He's like, but first we got to fix some things because it's not sellable. He's like, oh God, I just hate this business. I want to get rid of it. Right. And he's like, okay, well, let's put in some systems and let's architect this. And this is our process. And here's how we're going to do it. And you're going to take some time to carve away to think on the business and strategic. And the irony is, by the time he finished this 12-month program with his mentor, he was ready. His business was quote unquote ready to sell, right? It was ready for an investor to come on, and it was going to get maximum value because he was less important to the business. He was not the nucleus of everything. He had systems for things. And the irony was his business was doing way better financially. He was spending way less time on it. And the big thing is he said, okay, let's go to market. And he was like, wait a second. I don't want to sell this now.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a big shift. And I encourage everyone, it's a short read. Actually, Craig, we had the author on this podcast.
Did we really?
Yes. Warlow is his last name.
Wow.
Remember? Do you remember that
No, I
forever
don't.
ago?
When you have a 10-year podcast, you can start like remembering.
Dude, I remember when I pulled Patrick Bet David on here and he
I
lived
didn't
near
know
you.
who he
He's now,
was.
and you were like, who is this guy? And I was so bothered by his celebrityness that I couldn't even really talk.
I know.
Because,
and then he mentions me on his podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't even remember. I didn't even remember he was
Yeah.
on ours.
Yeah. He didn't remember. I'm sure he didn't remember me at all.
It's all good.
It's okay.
So one layer, look, I love the fact that we always bring different perspectives. And I think it's so valuable what you said. Built to Sell is not designed to sell. It's designed to take something that is a thorn in your side and make it everyone's dream to acquire. But if everybody wants what you have, you also want what you have. We only sell things that are not serving us any longer.
Or they're in massive dysfunction or causing you pain. But the goal, like you said so many times this weekend, is just to get freedom from whatever is causing pain in your life.
Right. And if we look at, you're a biohacker, when you talk about the keys to longevity, the overwhelming data shows to one of the most major and significant keys to longevity is not your grip strength, not your cardiovascular fitness, not your cholesterol. It's the amount and quality of the relationships in your life. So if you can build a business that not only produces revenue, but produces meaning and gives you something active to work on with good people that you've taken with you, like a Kim in your environment, or, these people that you've had almost decade-long or greater relationships and grow with them, that is so inherently healthy for you. And, this Friday, we're talking about enrollment, by the way, with our mastermind. There's a whole course on enrollment. And I was working with Eric on some slides because I want to do the initial 30 minutes of it. What enrollment really is as dentists, we commoditize the patient, and then the patient commoditizes us. What do I mean by that? Patient comes in and we just say, okay, allergy to aspirin. Okay, welcome to the practice. Okay, let's get started. Oh, you got a filling, get a crown, blah, blah, blah. What about when you go and meet that patient and you get curious and you say, hey, Mr. Jones, it's been 5 years since you've seen a dentist. So first off, I want to congratulate you for being here, taking the first step and getting back. What kept you away? And then the patient starts saying, well, I have a little bit of fear. Okay, can you talk to me more about that? Okay, well, I grew up in Ukraine and my first dental visit, they held me down, and literally being here right now, I'm a grown man, but I'm just being here, I'm sweating. I'm really nervous. Well, geez, I'm so thankful you're telling me this, because we offer sedation. And what I'm saying through this conversation is you're building a relationship. And when you build a relationship, you are fulfilled because you're not just getting dollars from enrollment. You're building a life. You're building the type of life that, you and I had when we were clinical, where people came up in restaurants like I've seen with you. Oh my God, Dr. Boulden, you changed my smile. You changed my life. And when we look at enrollment, it's the transaction of getting people to do the dentistry. But I propose that if you build relationships, you build a career, you build a life, you build the living, you get the money, and you get the relationships. And you can do that with your team as well. So it's just another layer down of, yes, you want to do more treatment, but you got to get to know your patients. If you don't get to know your patients, they're not going to get to know you. And the minute you change your hours from 5 o'clock on Thursday to 3 o'clock closing, they're gone. And how many of us have asked a friend who their dentist is, and they actually have no idea? They can only say it's the one by Subway right by Chili's. There's no relationship there. So, and then that's the reason why dentists are burnt out, by the way, because they're like, patients don't actually care about what I do. But my question to those dentists is, did you care enough to get to know those patients and build a relationship?
Well said.
So
Well
that's
said.
what this Friday is about with the Mastermind. It's not just
Well
enrollment.
said. Yeah. And Deborah Englehart Nash is coming on as well, right? She's coming to.
Yeah.
With
She's going
her
to
and
do
Erica.
her magic.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. I mean, I think that this is really the thesis of our new book, right? It is the patient experience, and it talks about this whole, what you just said, and it's so many things, but it's not just the experience; it's the entire lifespan. Like, how do you create value from before they ever pick up the phone? How do you create value on the internet? How do you create value in the community?
But all
the
of it lends
actual
to a
experience is
relationship,
probably
Peter.
only 50% of that, Craig.
But the experience in the world of AI at the end of the day is going to be the relationship.
No, I think as we trend towards super high tech and everything gets handled, the patient experience will become the great differentiator.
Yes.
And if you can't do that, so it should be almost like this dichotomy of things you're focused on, going super high tech and super high touch. And that is really going to be where the puck is going.
Of course.
It's just so crazy. I won't go into nerdy science.
No, I know it's mind-boggling what's going on. Mind-boggling.
Yep.
It's very cool.
All right, brother. That was fun. If you're listening to this, hope you just had an entertaining ride in your car to work and you got some giggles. You get to use the word sweaty back in your own ecosystem, because apparently everyone is now.
Just give Peter credit, please.
Yeah, just give
Peter
credit.
Peter just needs a little credit.
From time, it's usually the Craig show.
For Rob,
and
by the way, my message for Rob Lowe, just go back and just say.
First off, his name's not Rob Lowe.
Okay, just don't interrupt me. Just give him a little credit. You've listened to it there. Just tip the hat to Petey Boulden, please. Guy gets no freaking credit. He's building AI and LLMs, and I get to ride the coattails.
Robots over here.
Building robots
at scale,
just
and no one gives
man
me any
a bone.
Credit. God dang it!
Representing Philadelphia, Mississippi, for God's sakes. All right, bud. Well, thanks for everything. Thanks for giving me the larger room in the hotel.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you, bro. We're helping dentistry one by one.
You got it, buddy. Over and out, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks, everyone, for watching today's episode of the Bulletproof Dental Practice Pod. We hope this conversation brought you a tremendous amount of perspective and reminded you of why you love dentistry. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, drop us a comment, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss a future episode. Additionally, it would really help us if you could send this message to someone that you think would enjoy it. Until next time, keep pushing forward, keep leading boldly, and most importantly, stay bulletproof.